are going to talk about emotion.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we collected a lot of data,
Yes.
texts. So in 2015, we published an article on corpus-based approach to the classification of yummy emotion.
So what does corpus-based mean?
Meaning, when you talk about emotion, you need to have some information
Some
to
data.
draw from, right? You can't just think about, oh, what's my emotion? I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, right? You need to have some stories, some texts which are available for you to find examples to do the analysis.
Okay, so instead of going out to the community and asking, or instead of doing it out of your head, you collect stories, and that's your corpus, that's your body of information, and then you draw the...
Yes. If I asked you, what is your emotion in English, you may count a few, but you're not able to have
List
a
all of them.
systematic list of
Right.
all the emotion.
Okay.
So emotion, an emotion event involves someone's cognition, affection, or feelings about something that happened to someone or the fact that someone did something. So you have a reaction cognitively, affectively, or simply or sometimes physically. You have a physical reaction too.
Sure, sure.
But what's important is, if I simply use Chinese as an example to think about emotion,
Okay.
or a Yami person who knows Chinese, then we probably use Chinese to come up with a lot of emotion. Is that really the same as Yami emotion? So my approach is to start with the language
Okay.
from a prefix "iga" as a starting point to find all the Yami emotion events.
So why does Iga help you find these?
"Iga" means the reason or the cause for a certain feeling.
Oh, so they have a little root, a prefix that they add to all these things that talk about
Yes,
emotion.
because I studied Yami for so many years, I realized, aha, this prefix means,
It's a marker.
Yes,
for
yes,
Every time you see that, you're going to see some sort of emotion following
because the
it.
translation is due to this,
I have
I
this
have a
feeling.
certain feeling.
Okay. Very
That's why
good.
I use "iga" as the starting point.
All right. So then what kind of research questions did you come up with
I
based
want
on
to
this?
know what kind of emotions are well represented. What are the most likely emotion?
Okay.
And are there more positive or negative terms? More negative emotion or a positive emotion? And to what extent Yami emotion is very similar to Filipino emotion? They are in the same language family,
Okay.
right? So we
Right.
want to see, in the Filipino language, what kind of emotion do they have?
All right.
So by starting with "iga," I started to find a lot of interesting things. Of course, when you find "iga," I found 258 terms with "iga," and I categorized them into 9 categories. These are the 9 categories,
Okay.
okay?
So you have affective conditions, cognitive conditions, physical conditions. So these are things that either affect your feelings, your mind, or your body.
Yes, your feeling, your mind, and your body.
Okay.
So you can see some of the words like fear, sympathize, or scare away, ashamed, or overbearing, relax, calm.
Those are all feelings.
Yes, and those are cognitive, like important, true, noisy, lazy, picky, diligent.
Yeah, those are things that you think about, but they don't.
Right. And the physical, satiated, drunk, sleepy.
Okay.
No?
Right. Those are things related to your physical condition, but that affect your mood as well.
Right.
Okay.
When I put all these iga words together, I was also thinking about those, when you express emotion, you might use interjections like, ouch, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
in English.
Okay.
Or you curse, right, when you're upset. Or sometimes you use some metaphors or metonyms. For example, if you are very terrified, then you have a what in your stomach? Butterfly.
A knot or butterfly.
Yes.
They're different
Yeah.
metaphors.
Right. So I excluded all these interjections, curses, and metaphors,
Okay.
but only those 9 categories
Okay.
I just mentioned related to feeling, mind, and
Body.
body.
Okay.
Very good. So, and finally, after we did our analysis, of course, I invited Professor Yang to join me so he can use
course.
very fancy tool
Yes.
to analyze, the yummy emotion, doing cluster analysis and this and that.
All right.
So we noticed that what's most common is pure cognitive category, meaning good, bad, intelligent, difficult. These are the most common. The least common include lonely, lazy. So these are the, in general, the categories I noticed.
In your corpus.
In my corpus,
Okay.
yes, in my corpus. And in terms of positive versus negative, we see a lot of negative emotions. Yeah. People complain a lot, right? People in general not that happy.
Well,
Yeah,
I
life
guess.
is tough.
Yeah. Well, it's subsistence lifestyle. It is. I mean that's true in a lot of subsistence cultures. There's a lot of negative things because a lot of negative things happen.
Yeah. So we present all the categories into a table, dividing them into 3 parts: affective, the so-called
Feelings.
cognitive,
What you're
mind,
thinking about.
and physical, bodily states.
Okay.
So we also compare Yami emotion with the Filipino emotions, and lo and behold, they are in the same family group, of course.
That makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. So we yielded 11 distinctive domains: happy, aroused, contented, emotionless, contemptuous, angry, sad, tired, quiet, shy, anxious, and aspiring. These are the common emotions shared with the Filipino too. But one word, one emotion, guilty, is lacking in Yami. It doesn't mean that Yami doesn't have a sense of guilt. The problems, remember, how do we say bad fish? Raut.
Yeah.
Bad fish. And this word bad has a lot of derived words, including feeling bad. That's guilt. Have guilt, have bad things.
You feel bad because of your guilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no equivalent word in Filipino, but they do have yami raut, which can be used to say have a lot of bad things. That's guilty.
I feel bad.
I feel bad.
Meaning,
I have a sense of guilt.
yeah. Okay.
So in general, Yami emotions basically share the same distinctive domains as Filipino emotions. And similarly, the language contains more negative emotion terms than positive terms.
All right.
So overall, let me summarize the main points.
Sure.
In terms of frequency, the most frequent category is related to mind, like sense it something noisy or somebody is lazy, followed by affective, like sympathize, amused, overbearing, and finally physical,
Right.
satiated. And there are more negative than positive emotions. Negative are like angry, embarrassed. Positive, happy, satiated. Yeah. Yami share the same distinct domains as Filipino emotions except for guilt. But the word for Yami, for guilt, miraratan, have a lot of bad things.
I have a lot of bad things inside me.
Right.
Okay.
And the most important emotions are anxiety, fear, arousal, contentment, anger, happiness, sadness, emotionless, like feeling bored. The least important emotions include feeling tired, quiet, contemptuous, and aspiring.
Most and least common in terms of numbers in your corpus.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe they are not that tired, they are not that quiet, and they are not that proud or aspiring. So that's our results. Test time. How did the authors identify emotion terms in Yami? 1, based on interjections and curses. 2, based on translations of emotion terms. 3, based on metaphors and metonyms. 4, based on the prefix ika.
It must be ika.
Excellent. You passed.